Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you my recipe for maple creams. Now this is a cookie you are not going to regret making, except that you will probably eat too many of them because I know I did. I'm actually not the biggest fan of maple syrup and maple flavor, but this cookie really changed my mind. So I hope that you make this one and enjoy it. So let's get started.
So our first ingredient here is going to be 2 sticks or 1 cup of unsalted butter that has softened overnight on the counter. And I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up a little bit in my mixer before adding my sugars in here. You can skip this step, but I just like to break it down a little bit before I add the sugar in. Also, if you notice that the volume of this recipe is off a little bit from the amounts I'm telling you, it's because I was making a double batch here. So we're going to use half a cup of just regular sugar and then half a cup of brown sugar. If you have it, maple sugar would be an excellent substitute for the brown sugar, but I know most of us don't have that on a consistent basis, so brown sugar is fine. Now, after that was creamed together, I just set that aside so that I can go ahead and combine my dry ingredients here. My dry ingredients, it's going to be 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour and then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I just like to go ahead and stir that together so everything's nice and evenly combined, and then just set that aside. And now back to our stand mixer where I am adding 1 large egg and 1 egg yolk. Then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of a good quality maple syrup. Make sure that you're using the real stuff here. And then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and then 2 teaspoons of maple extract. The maple extract really just kind of brings that maple flavor home. So I do recommend it even if it's a little bit of an extra purchase for this cookie. Then just go ahead and mix that up again, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to add our flour in. I do recommend doing the flour in 2 batches. Add half of it, mix, add the next half, and then at that point your dough is going to be done. So what we're going to do is just turn the dough out onto our counter. Now I use plastic wrap for this. It's just the easiest thing, but you can use like a bees wrap or something like that. But you want to just turn it out onto something like this and go ahead and just kind of form it into a little disc and pop this in the fridge for about half an hour. Once the dough is chilled, go ahead and flour your counter and then bring that dough disc out and we can start rolling it out. I'm dividing mine into sections just so I don't have too big of a section on my counter at one time. Now I chose to roll this pretty thinly for my cookies just because since it is a sandwich cookie, you're going to have a pretty big bite, but if you prefer a thicker cookie, you can absolutely do that. So just roll it out to your preferred thickness and then take your cookie cutter, cut these out and just put them on your sheet. As far as baking times, you want to keep a close eye on these. Anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes will be when they're done, and you want to pull them out when they are just very slightly brown around the edges. A couple seconds can be the difference between delicious and overcooked. Now for our frosting, we're going to be using 1 cup of unsalted softened butter again. Again, this is 2 sticks. And we're going to mix this up pretty well before we move on. So we want to make sure this is nice and light and fluffy. So just go ahead and let it mix for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then we will add in our powdered sugar. So our powdered sugar, we are going to use 3 cups of that. And again, it is best to do this in batches. So add like a cup and a half in your first batch and then add the remaining powdered sugar in your second batch and beat this up really good. Give it a good 5 minutes in your stand mixer to get nice and light and fluffy. Then we're going to go in with the same flavoring ingredients that we used in our cookie. So 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 teaspoons of maple extract, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Beat this up again until everything's all nice and combined. Your frosting should be super fluffy and light and just phenomenal. I love the way that this frosting turns out. It's just always so good and so beautiful. And the last step is just to assemble our sandwich cookies. So I am using a piping bag with a tip. I like the way it gives it a nice polished looking finish, but you don't have to do that. You can just dollop it on top of there with a spoon or a knife. Anything works here, so you don't have to be too particular. Just take the back of a cookie and put whatever the appropriate amount of frosting is for you on there, and then take another cookie and just gently press it together until you can see kind of that little sandwich cookie type filling, and then you're good to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed these cookies. They are phenomenal, a great little treat. So I do hope that you might add this to your to bake list because it's really quite worthy of it. So enjoy, guys, and thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.